Welcome back, everybody, to the Oscar Isaac cast.
I'm your host, Oscar Isaac.
You've been Oscar Isaac the whole time?
I've been Oscar Isaac'd.
What does that mean?
I live with somebody else's cat.
You tear up the fucking dance floor, man.
How about to tear up this dance floor? I was not expecting to hear that when I was watching the movie for the first time.
In this episode, we're going to talk about this movie, which also stars half of the Star Wars cast. I think there's a trend here, huh?
It's almost like you can't pick an original movie to save your life.
What are you talking about? Just because these actors are also in Star Wars doesn't mean it's not an original movie. With Inside Llewyn Davis, did you know that John Goodman is...
Based out of Metropolis?
What?
I don't know. You did a pause, and that's the first thing that came to my head.
That's stupid.
I don't care.
You're just thinking about the Madonnaopolis again.
Boobies.
This is Bill Cosby.
It puts the boobies on the face and rubs them around.
Tracy Morgan.
I Google myself every day. I was Googling myself in Lemon's office.
Well,
catch you later.
thank you, everybody, for joining us. I don't know how to start these things. Never mind. Well, Garrett.
Yes.
Decided to watch another movie today, didn't we?
No, I just got home from work.
Well, Garrett, we decided to watch another movie yesterday, didn't we?
Yes.
What was that movie?
Ex Machina.
Oh, you said it right. I'm shocked. After the Ex Machina.
Aren't you going to ask me what's it about?
I'm thinking, my brain broke for a second. Trying to throw off the intro and do it differently was weird. My name's Alex, by the way.
Did you write and direct this movie?
Yes, actually, I did not. But it is written and directed by Alex Garland of Sunshine fame and Dread. I was trying to make a joke, but the dude's only made decent movies. So some people may know him from his more recent film Annihilation, which Garrett hates, but I like.
I did not hate it. I own it.
Garrett hates it with a passion.
He also did The Beach.
He saw it, he went, derivative. Well, Garrett, what the hell is this Ex Machina movie about? Tina?
A young programmer is selected to participate.
You're just reading off of IMDb again. 2 weeks in a row. Now who's not original?
You only know because you were looking at it.
No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I can just tell when you're reading something because you go, a young programmer is taken away to Neverland. Is this a Peter Pan movie? Yes. All right, fair enough.
And that's the reason why he's green.
Captain Chuck. This is the worst fucking podcast we've ever done.
Captain Chungus.
Spaghetti.
Here it comes.
I can't tell if it was because of the movie or if it was just me being an idiot. But my brain is broken.
Well, the movie is about a programmer. And
is he young?
The movie is about a programmer of a mild age. And he participates in a sky putting back together experiment. Sort of groundbreaking. Okay.
Uh-huh.
It's a movie about AI.
What's that?
Alan Iverson. I fucking knew you were gonna ask. It's a movie of what if shit.
It's Spike Jonze as her, but
it was it's
more fucked up.
It's what if Stephen Hawking had a nice pair of tits.
People will swear this is the drunk cast, and it's not.
Speak for yourself.
I don't know what it is. Am I running on 4 hours of sleep? Yes. Is it getting to me? Definitely. Well,
It is a movie about a secretive genius that brings in a guy who won a lottery to spend a week with him at his estate to eventually turn into it being a Turing test for an AI woman.
what are they touring?
The facility.
Are they picking up slack? That's a
They could
fucking
be.
obscure reference. Does she wear a short skirt and a long jacket?
Sometimes, and she was seen with cake.
So, yeah. What do you think of Alex Garland his work?
I don't know. Do you think he's programmed to flirt with me?
So before this movie, this is technically his directorial debut. But what did he make
technically,
beforehand?
it's not his.
I know. Well, I mean, on paper it is, but it also isn't because allegedly he directed all of Dread, or enough of it, I guess. Not enough to get credit, but enough to make it his movie, which you can kind of tell. And that movie's rad too. So, before this though, he wrote some Danny Boyle movies, 28 Days Later, Sunshine, a couple of video games apparently, Enslaved Odyssey to the West, which I played the demo of but never actually played. It was an Andy Serkis game.
And The Beach was also Danny Boyle.
Oh, yep. And then he did write Dread and technically direct it before eventually going on to make this film in 2014. It's a very small scale, feels low budget kind of thing. I don't know what the budget actually was for it, but
I want to say it was like 15 million. Yes,
it's very small scale. There's three characters.
It was one of the cheapest budgeted movies to win the visual effects Oscar too.
Yeah, which I was happy when it won the visual effects Oscar. It's pretty cool for it to get recognized in some way, because it didn't win it was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, but did not win. Although I don't know what did in 2016, but I feel like this movie could have taken it. It would have been Spotlight, yeah. And then after Ex Machina, of course, he went on. Last thing he did was Annihilation. He's doing a miniseries right now, I want to say, for FX. And he's currently attached to the Halo film that will never come out.
So you don't think Fury Road should have won visual effects?
Well, maybe. I mean, most of it was practical, but I was happy when something like this won because it was nice for it to get recognized there. Fury Road got like 8 other Oscars, so
I don't know. It's like The Revenant won for director, and I felt like The Revenant was probably one of the least good directed movies.
Fury Road should have swept, but whatever. What do I know?
Spotlight is considered an original screenplay, even though it's based on a true story?
Yeah, because it's not based on an existing work.
Other than...
Just like the true life story, it wasn't based on... Like, nobody wrote a book or an article about the process of making the article, which is why it's original.
Yeah, but they were investigative journalists, right? So it's like if they're journalists... Well, whatever.
Yeah, it's weird, but it has to be, the screenplay has to be based on a pre-existing material. Sorry,
we can move past that now.
Actually, Fury Road would have counted as adapted screenplay because technically all sequels fall under that. The Big Short won adapted screenplay that year. But anyway, I think this movie has an excellent script. I don't know about you. I find it's really tightly wound and you're able to approach it from a lot of different angles. Maybe some of the dialogue might be a little on the nose, but I think it hits the themes it wants to hit pretty well.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, cool. I guess we're moving on.
Well, I mean, it's like it's interesting as far an advancement that we have made in like robotics and artificial intelligence and computer programs. The newer stuff really still isn't necessarily air quotes better than like the stuff that Isaac Asimov did with, like the 3 rules for the robots and did iRobot and all that. And it's the stuff that Arthur C. Clarke and Kubrick did with HAL. I don't necessarily think it goes over any information or questions that weren't also questions in that. I mean, it's like even still now. I mean, to me, one of the most interesting things about this is it's like it's not even necessarily the AI that is the most impressive. It's how fluid the mechanical things can walk and like the different parts that can be taken off. Like
Right.
people having missing limbs would not even be a problem anymore.
It's less about the brain and more about how it's able to exist
Right.
as a functioning thing.
So it's like and it's not even like she was the first one to have that. It seems like all the major versions had that kind of a body.
Right.
So it's like it had been that way for however long, maybe the last 10 years or something in the film thing. So I mean, but I know some of that is necessary for telling the story.
Sure.
It some of it almost feels like a good short story or even like a Twilight Zone kind of episode.
Hmm.
Not that degrades what kind of story it is or anything.
Black Mirror gone bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's the reason why I say Twilight Zone, because it's like that was kind
Yeah.
of that and Outer Limits were sort of the instigators of that type of short story.
Sure.
Filmic form.
I can see that.
So it's sort of like, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's groundbreaking, but it's sort of like it is a modern version of those types of stories, and we don't have a lot of those modern versions, especially ones that are really quality. A lot of them are like sci-fi original type ones that
Yeah.
are terrible. So it's like I like the fact that he took it serious, and I like the fact that the way it was done, and that he got good people to portray the characters, and that it's a solid story.
Hmm.
So it's like in all of those aspects, it's sort of up there with like Moon, and maybe like you would consider like the new Blade Runner
Sure.
to be like that kind of a science fiction story.
I put on TV front Westworld.
There you go.
Kind of hits similar ideas, not only with AI and having bodies, but like the dangers of playing God. Kind of like a Jurassic
which
Park
is a
kind of
very
thing.
Philip K. Dick kind of thing too.
Michael
But
Crichton
like you said, Michael Crichton definitely would fall into that, especially with Jurassic Park.
and Westworld.
Well, that's what. Yeah.
It's a fucking movie in the 70s, you fucking dummy.
I know what it is. I own it.
That's false. You don't.
Yeah,
But off he goes to go get it to show me.
No, I do own Westworld.
It's not a great movie.
No, it's not. It's very much so. It's like the idea is really solid.
Interesting.
Execution.
Yeah, so the execution is boring.
It's just like Silent
Which is
Running.
why I think having somebody like Jonathan Nolan, come and take the idea and like try to expand it a little bit more.
Well, it's interesting. Like I feel like Crichton did that with Jurassic Park.
Sure.
Is like took
that was the book written before Jurassic Park, written before the movie. It was made for Westworld.
I mean, the Westworld movie's old.
It's like 70s.
Jurassic Park novel is 1990.
Oh, damn. I thought it was way earlier. Yeah, so I guess he could have perfected it when he did that. But I mean, at the same time, I've heard people who have read the book say that Spielberg's movie is better than the book. So maybe he's just an idea man and somebody along and perfect it.
Well, the interesting thing is like the things that are in the original Jurassic Park novel are like in the first 3 movies.
Yeah.
So it's like it's chock full of a lot of stuff, and so a lot of things happen. And I think the movie kind of pulls everything down that's like key for it. And so I think the movie's more streamlined and the characters are better because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the action and stuff, like, there's parts of the book where they're just like riding on dinosaurs, like the kids are, and it's like, yeah, this is fun. And
we should do Jurassic Park for an episode.
We did. So it's like I think it is more innocent in places than the movie is, and I think it's also more graphic in certain places than the movie is, because there's like the one where the guy's intestines get ripped out.
Sure.
Just like Alan Grant was kind of like telling the kid what the Velociraptor claw could do, like that actually happens in the book.
But in relation to nowadays, don't really see that kind of idea presented.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and I even felt the same way with Annihilation, where it's not quite what I wanted it to be, but especially for American filmmakers, like there are European filmmakers that do that kind of stuff, but for American filmmakers, even though I don't know, he is English, so he's technically not American.
You fucker.
I'm an idiot.
Yep.
So maybe that's the thing, is maybe like his sensibilities probably grew up with like the Doctor Who's and all that kind of stuff, where
Sure.
it means more to him to do science fiction.
I grew up with the Doctor Who's.
But yeah, it's sort of his science fiction movies do seem like maybe a higher caliber. I mean, along the lines of a Christopher Nolan kind of science fiction, of a James Cameron kind of science fiction,
Sure.
where he doesn't get the budgets that they do. But
No.
I mean, I don't
what
even
a
know if I
weird
would.
fucking studio release, huh?
Yeah.
When I put the disc in and the Universal logo popped up, I totally gapped. I thought this was an A24 for some reason.
Well, it is an A24, but it's Universal.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I knew I was right about the A24. So my Blu-ray has Universal on it.
Yeah, and mine has both, and then as it goes to the credits, it says Universal International. So it's like they have the distribution rights outside of the U.S.
I was feeling like it was a Get Out kind of situation.
Gotcha.
Get Out is also Universal. So maybe they partner with smaller things like A24 on one hand and then Blumhouse on the other to kind of make these low-budget creative endeavors.
Yeah, and it could be one of those things to where like they think that this movie might have more legs, and so they allow someone else to help with the distribution rights.
Sure.
In that aspect, because they can reach more audience members. A24
what was Annihilation?
Because Annihilation
that was a studio film too, wasn't it?
Well, but it was like it came to.
It was Netflix in most places.
That's the thing. It came to theaters in the U.S., which I went and saw it at the theater, but then it came to Netflix.
I think Warner Brothers Paramount didn't have faith in it, so they sold it to Netflix.
Yeah, and it. I mean, the thing is, it makes sense because the budget on Annihilation was $40 million, and worldwide it made $43 million.
Yeah, well, maybe it would have made more if they didn't neuter the release.
It could possibly.
They didn't release it anywhere other than America and Canada and Australia, some shit like that. I saw it at theaters. I was very happy I had the chance.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
The sound design,
it only made $11 million.
Yeah, the sound design in that movie is fantastic. I would say same with this one. It's pretty interesting.
It is. But it's like we said, it does show its budget, and then there are some things that don't quite work. It's like the more you think about them, the more it's not like you can't have a movie with questions at the end, because obviously that happens a lot. But
it's only okay when you like it. Bam.
No, it's a different thing when you want to ask big questions, like where are we in the universe, or what does it mean to be human? Like those are the kind of questions it can ask and not answer itself and leave to the audience to make up their own mind. But not all these characters are supposed to be super smart. Why did they do this really dumb thing? The movie never answered why they didn't think of this when they're a specialist in this field or whatever. Or, why didn't the military or the government try this thing? Because if they, it's like those types of questions are the types of questions that are like you don't necessarily understand if they don't really present it.
You had mentioned at one point, why didn't Oscar Isaac build a kill switch for her?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, could it be an arrogance thing?
Perhaps
there's this air of like, I couldn't make anything do that. Whatever I make would be perfect. It would never like attack me. So there's no need for a kill switch. I would just defeat it.
But at the same time, saying when something happens, everything locks down except for my key card.
Yeah.
And it's like no one ever comes to the house either. So it would be different if like there were like he's very controlling. So someone that's very control, I mean, it's easy to get out of that to say like, oh, well, she reprogrammed herself so that didn't work.
Sure.
It's like, it's not like there isn't a way over that, but it's like when she is presented with like, here is a different character, she's like, oh, who are you? It wasn't like she was the master and controller of everything to where she knew everything outside of her room. It's sort of like she was presented with everything as being, I don't know what is out there, but I have to find out. So, but it's like there are ways like that you can get around that. but it was almost like too much at the very, like nothing, kind of like air quotes, nothing happens until the actiony finish, and then everything kind of like bam, 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 and my brain's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
you know,
Which I think
everything was
actually I did knock in my original review way back when.
right,
I
and
said
that's the
that,
thing is,
but I don't know if I came at it from an angle of nothing happens until the last 15 minutes, or if I meant it the way you just said it, but
right,
because that was 4 years ago. This is one of the first movies I actually ever wrote a review for.
cool.
And it was just some little shitty thing, but it was this and Star Wars and Sicario were the 3 movies that got me into writing. Follow me on Letterboxd. Follow me. Read my stuff. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's okay. It's again, they're all like minor complaints, but it's like things that keep it from elevating it
Keep it
to
from
what
being a 5-star movie. Wait.
No, but I mean, all 5-star movies aren't made the same, and I'm much easier on my rating system than what I used to be. I went back and changed things because of it.
That's just because you met me.
No, it was actually before
And you
you
realize
existed.
that I have the right mentality of I just like movies.
No,
Things can be rated highly.
wasn't that at all.
You, I think, have more 5-star movies than I have seen movies.
Well, I tried to make it a, like, if it's watchable multiple times, or you're able to get something from it, or you can have a conversation about it, different things like that. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to present all new information or be groundbreaking or anything like that, or, you know.
I hate the people who are like never give out 5 stars.
Yeah, because then it becomes this unattainable thing.
Yeah, so like when you just never have any 5 stars, everything like ever, like get off your high horse, fuck.
Now, originally I had 5 stars. The reason something got 5 stars is because it was my favorite film.
Right.
So I only had like 100 because I'm like, okay, those are my top films. That's all I'm going to give it to. And then I realized if it meets the criteria, there's no reason to dock it a point, because I don't think it is as good as the best films ever. And it's like, I can still have these are my best films ever that are also 5 stars, but then these are other ones that are also really good too, and that's the reason why I rated it that way. It's sort of like the power grid going off happened at 2 inconvenient times in the conversation, to where maybe 1 or 2 times his arrogance would be like, well, I told those fuckers to get everything right, they just didn't put it in.
Sure.
You know, it's like eventually he would have had to have known. It's like I didn't understand why he didn't put the camera in earlier.
Yeah.
Or like realized it was her that was doing it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I guess building off of that a little bit, we could talk a bit about the characters then. Building
Sure.
from the arrogance of Nathan, kind of his whole demeanor and drunkenness and brilliance all at the same time. I don't know what you think. Isaac kind of attacks it from angles. What did you think of him being Kubrick?
No, that's one of the first things I noticed about it is that he was trying to give, like, he had in his head a picture of what a genius would be.
Mm-hmm.
And
the fact that it was Stanley Kubrick made you happy. You're like, yes,
well,
I love that man.
No, it's like the way he would look and the things he would do. Like, I think that character is really difficult to get. And that was one of the things I liked about A Social Network, is that Jesse Eisenberg understood how he should act and how he should look to make it seem like he was the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
And it's like I could just tell that he knew that, and he understood how to convey that. And I could appreciate that, even if the character didn't do all the things or act the way that I might expect that kind of a person to act.
Mm-hmm.
I think that his decision making and the fact that he was allowed to portray the character the way that he felt would be right, I really liked that. And it was like one of the things that got me interested in who Oscar Isaac would eventually become in his acting. Because I think this might have been one of his first movies that I saw him acting.
You saw? And he did do Davis before this. Fuck.
But I don't remember if I saw it when it first came out or if I rented that.
He does the Kubrick like look over the glasses the slight like head downward.
Oh no,
motion.
he was
I
in
mean,
Sucker Punch, so I
that's true.
stand and drive, so I did see him way before. My bad.
But you know what I mean? Where
I do.
I know a lot of people look over top of their glasses, but when you pair it with the beard and he does it like in just the right angle,
Right.
I really noticed it this time as I was looking.
It's a very distinct look.
Yeah,
And because of the fact
he's always
you
thinking.
yeah,
That's what
you
it
don't know how to
mostly is.
read him necessarily. Like you don't
You
really
can almost always
understand.
see his ears turning in some way.
Right.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just like, you don't know whether he's telling a joke or not until after he reacts back to what he said.
Right.
It's kind of like when he was at the table eating with Caleb, or isn't his name Caleb?
Yep.
Yeah, because he's Nathan. Okay. So when Nathan was eating with Caleb and he was like, I had that, when there's so much important stuff going on here after the builders finished with it, I had him taken outside and all shot or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, he just says it so matter of factly that Caleb has to look at him and then from his reaction realizes it was a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But at first he didn't know. And it's like, I just think that that's interesting that he had it like, you just don't know how to read him. He's mysterious. He's just doing his own thing, which is an interesting choice.
Which, I think, from a watch point too, the first time around, you don't trust him. You think it's kind of, it's the mystery aspect of like, is he a psychopath, right? Like what is he kind of thing. But when you watch it, at least when I watched it this time, I tried to focus on it from his perspective, and I came at it from like, he was never really the bad guy. Caleb's like an outsider, and this is just his work to Nathan, I guess. This is Nathan's work. He doesn't see them as people because it's like he made it, right? He went through all the steps, so of course he's gonna act the way he acts because he's not psychotic. If anything, he's like right.
Which is funny because when I first went and saw the movie, I saw it from Oscar Isaac's point of view.
Sure.
And I wish it could have tricked me to see it from Caleb. The problem, and I've mentioned this before, is like putting something in the film to go like, you didn't catch that, did you? But when Caleb wins the lottery and then his face starts scanning and it sees his reactions,
yeah,
that clued me in instantaneously that things aren't the way that Caleb sees them to be.
Right.
And that something else is going on. And so that like automatically made me
Is that
question,
good or bad now? Would you rather have that, or would you rather have taken it out and have him like sucker punch you in a twist kind of thing?
I would rather it slowly be revealed and I come to the realization of it maybe at the same time Caleb does.
Right.
Rather than be shown it first and then have it in my mind as if I'm paying attention.
Or at least have that shot of faces being scanned a little more often, so you think like, oh, that wasn't just the only event of it. Have it be like a reoccurring shot.
No, I would rather there not be anything like that.
Oh.
To me, it's like the more naturalistic you make it, the less you question it.
Sure. Which I think is what this movie kind of does right in some instances with colorization and cinematography, is it kind of feels very real.
Yeah, because it has red, green, blue, the primary colors.
Yeah. So it just feels like very minimalistic.
Mm-hmm.
The hallways are all just like white and glass.
Yeah, which, and that aspect, the cinematography could have been a little bit slower.
Sure.
There could have been more still shot. Like when it would just show the Jackson Pollock painting and it is centered in frame. Like, and it just kind of sits there for maybe like 3 seconds looking at it. I wish there were more of those kind of shots in the film.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's not enough.
If it wasn't edited.
Yeah, it's like there's not enough contemplation. It's sort of like they say like a stinger or he says a joke and then they move on to the next scene. It's almost like as soon as the word is done, it's edited into the next scene and we're moving on. And I kind of wish sometimes it's like the film does it sometimes. Like when Ava is getting dressed and she's just like, she's slowly rolling up her stocking onto her leg.
Yeah.
It's like that slowed down enough to where like she was taking her time, she was doing things. You could think about her process You could think about what this would mean to the character. You would think it's like it's trying to convey to you like this is special to her. And she's doing it especially for Caleb. It's like those types of things getting the person that's watching it involved would mean so much more if it was at that pace.
Right.
I mean, again, not to say that it's bad, but I'm just saying, like, if I was doing it, I
You're
would
just
make
saying
decisions.
it's terrible. That's all you're saying.
No, I'm just saying, like,
I can't believe it.
I would just make different decisions as well.
Right.
Because I think it means pacing means something else. This movie could have easily been 2 hours long, but maybe that was too long for him or whatever. I don't know.
You think if it was drawn out just a touch more, maybe it would have added it more of a sense of unease to it?
Yes, I definitely think so.
I agree with you, I think. As much as I like its kind of brisk nature, I think, yeah, I do agree. I think the soundtrack helps kind of supplement that, for me at least. I think the music does a good job adding a little bit to the unease.
And that's the thing is, like, the soundtrack itself isn't constructed like normal songs. It's kind of abstract.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost sounds
kind of
like
Jackson Pollock-y.
It is. I would say like Radiohead, or I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it like Signor Rose or something like that?
I don't know.
I don't remember how you say that. Anyway, I think I've only ever seen it printed out.
I have no idea.
I don't know if I can actually get it to.
I want to rewatch Suspiria, the radio horror movie. I think
the new one,
Sigaros.
Sigaros.
I don't know. Cigarros. Cigarros.
But it's that kind of minimalistic. I mean, and obviously Annihilation has that too.
Yeah. Until the end.
Right. Which, again, there's things about the ending I like, but I have the same kind of issues with it. It's like you're diving into Kubrick and Tarkovsky areas, and it doesn't quite work with the MTV editing style.
Right.
But I also understand why they do it.
I also wonder if that's studio things. Maybe if he had a full-fledged J24 project, or maybe his show that's coming out, because if it is on FX, they care a lot about that kind of artistic integrity, I think, to the content.
Sure.
So maybe if it's not a Universal-ish production, like half and half, full Paramount production, maybe he'll have opportunity to add that stuff in.
Yeah, and it could be that. It could be his style of taste is more along the lines of Danny Boyle, who I feel edits way too fast.
Sure. I mean, that's who he started writing for, so maybe it just kind of stuck with him.
Yeah, so it might just be like that's his style and that's his way of telling a story, and who the fuck am I to tell him he shouldn't tell a story that way?
Well, you're doing it anyway, so.
Oh, I'm just saying about, like, it's not like I've seen no movies, and it's not like I don't understand timing since I'm a drummer, and it's not like I don't understand.
Look at this guy fucking gatekeeping.
No, I'm not gatekeeping at all. I'm just saying it's not like.
I'm kidding.
I feel like. I feel like we both have ideas about what does and doesn't work.
Sure.
And I just think
maybe he's the Damon Lindelof and you're the guy that makes The Leftovers.
What? That's
versus Lost, you know what I mean? Maybe in your mind you need somebody to bounce something off of to kind of rounding wire it a little more. But like you said, who are to say any different?
Yeah, I mean, again, like, the problem is the movie already didn't make. I mean, it made money and it won an award or whatever.
Yeah.
If I made it, no one would have seen it and it wouldn't have won anything. So
True.
He does have that going for him. Whereas, if I want it to be like The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears or Climax from Gasper Noé or any of these others, like, we'd just now be finding out about the movie.
And watching it on a show like this. Tearing it apart because of how bad it is. Badass. And I think we're missing the elephant in the room here, which is Alicia Vikander. Not that I'm calling her an elephant or anything.
Wow.
She's literally the opposite.
See if she'll date you now.
She's got Michael Fassbender. Why would she go for?
Because you're like way cooler.
Oh, damn! Thanks.
Maybe she.
Seen the size of his junk though? Have you seen?
Yeah,
Shane?
that's what I was gonna make a joke.
She pretty effectively steals the show, in my opinion. But I don't know about you. I think she's absolutely impeccable in this movie. I kind of playing that naivety, I guess, and wondrous nature, especially when she leaves. But at the same time, having that back processing and the ulterior motives working in the back of her head. I don't know about you.
Whether or not I find the things out of the back of her head interesting.
Sure, whatever.
No, I completely agree with what you're saying. Not having seen her in very many movies before this certainly helps because you're not sitting there going, "Oh, that's the girl from Leon the Professional," or
Sure.
that's Keira Knightley. You're like, "Oh, okay, I can buy her as being this character because I don't know who she is." I think with her talking with a little bit of an accent and being different than both Nathan and Caleb, that helps.
Mm-hmm.
That she just has a different style to her. I think her movements are interesting as well. It's like a lot of times people will get like the lines right or the look right, and like the body language is completely wrong.
Right.
It's kind of like, especially as you see how the movie goes and what her ultimate idea and plan was.
Mm-hmm.
Going back a second time and seeing how she is so easily showing things and manipulating people and doing the stuff like that is really good that they thought about that. I don't know if they filmed it in order or if she took extensive notes as to what she should be at that point.
Yeah.
It seems to come through in the performance that way.
Sure. I would agree with you. And that year she actually won an Oscar, The Danish Girl. And
I still haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that either, but part of me thinks that she actually won for this movie.
Okay, Florence Pugh.
That's what I based that on, though. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it was, because Ex Machina in 2016 Oscar season was in the conversation. She was, especially for supporting actress. And the fact that it made a presence in 2 categories, not just squeezing in like 1, it was in a highbrow category, a top of the line category, as well as the technical stuff. I think it was totally feasible that not only did people in the industry see this movie, but could have voted for that movie with this one in mind. Barring the fact that I have not seen The Danish Girl, it is Tom Hooper, so I'm not going to see The Danish Girl because I don't think I will like it.
I don't even like pastries.
I wish there was a camera on. Face is just dead.
I thought you'd wish that there was like a boxing glove that would come out of my monitor and slap me when I.
Yeah, that'd be funny too. But
the cheese Danish girl.
Yeah. And what about I guess there's only one other part of the triangle here, which is Donald Gleason as Caleb.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't know how you feel about him. In other movies that he's in, I always feel like he's the loser, and so it kind of like fits.
Yes.
Okay.
Star Wars, Brooklyn.
The beginning of About Time.
I haven't seen that one.
It's not worth seeing.
Gotta click on Donald Gleason.
Brendan Gleeson's son.
Yes, indeed. He was in Harry Potter. He was cool as hell in Harry Potter, though.
I have not seen anything other than the first one.
He was Bill.
Not really my thing.
Well, you're a fucking idiot. He's in True Grit?
Yeah, but he's a loser in True Grit, too.
Yeah, I know. I'm just going to list things, and if he's the loser, then there you go. Frank. He's kind of a loser in Frank.
Oh, it definitely is. Frank is the cool one. Michael Fassbender.
Yeah. That's funny. The Revenant. He's in The Revenant.
Yeah, also, I mean, him
he does
and
kind of
Leo
just get
both
pushed
losers.
around. He's in Mother.
Is he? What does he play in Mother?
Oldest son, so Kane.
He must have been in it very little because I don't even remember him.
Dread.
He was a druggie, wasn't he? Oh, he was the guy that did the programming.
Yeah, so a loser.
The one that got his eyes ripped out or whatever.
Yeah. He was he's a loser in his Black Mirror episode as well. Actually, he dies in his episode. Actually, his Black Mirror episode is Ex Machina, but
and that came out before this, didn't it?
Yeah. A little bit.
What a hack!
Because he dies, and that episode's about his wife, like, getting an AI doll that, like, has memories installed or whatever in it. But he's also going to be in Peter Rabbit 2, Runaway.
I saw that, yeah. Wah, wah. Well, I mean, you got to do stuff for the kids, and that probably makes money so that he can do the stuff he wants to do.
Yep, but he has to put up with James Corden.
Or he might want to do this. I don't know what his taste in movies are.
That's all he likes is Peter Rabbit. He's like, I wish I could just do more of this. as he goes up to his next, I don't care anymore. This bit.
Well, no, he probably makes more in Peter Rabbit than I've made in the last 5 years combined. So I mean, I'm not going
100%. He probably made more.
Belittle the guy for, a working actor is a working actor.
Yeah, so he does what he needs to do. Unless you're you, he's kind of like the audience surrogate for the first watch, at least, for the film. But other than that, it just becomes very much like, yeah. And the second time around, he's just a very sad and very lonely man who just wants to be loved. And his desire for that gets everybody in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Jerk.
But at the same time, Nathan's the exact same way, a very sad and very lonely man who just wants to be loved.
I think Nathan wants admiration.
That is the same thing, to be loved. In a different sense. Not a romantic love, but it's still love. Admiration, it all comes from the same word.
You look up at me
fucking
and you said, you're
idiot.
a god. I don't believe I said that.
What do you think comes after the ending of the movie?
I think within a couple days she runs out of batteries because she was so fucking stupid to realize she couldn't charge herself in the regular world.
That's funny. We watched that Olivia Wilde short. At least I watched it beforehand. And the whole time watching it before the twist, I'm not going to spoil that because it's about that short. I was like, this is Ex Machina. This is after Ex Machina. She gets into the real world and she's so happy to be there in the world, but everybody else is just looking at their technology because they don't know that she's technology. So they're not looking at her. Yeah.
Well, so much for not spoiling it.
But then it threw a shitty message in. Thanks, HP. Get off your technology and enjoy the real world, said the technology company. I
mean, the thing is, we don't know what it is that she wants because she hasn't shown her true self.
She just wanted to be out there, I think.
It could be the thing that she took what Caleb said, the story of finally being outside and seeing color, almost like the Pinocchio story of I want to be a real boy. And the only way I know to do that is to get outside and actually experience everything, and now I can see it in color. Sure. So it could be that simply not being locked away or kept alone, but just being out with the people and getting the information that way is what she wants. But we don't know that.
Right. I almost wish that its framing device, the like Ava Session 1 kind of stuff, I wish the movie ended with Ava Session 8 and then the credits.
Well, I mean, they basically did that with
real world session.
Well, that's the thing, is like the whole at first you think it is Caleb keeping track, and then you realize at session 7 that it's her session, that she's the one that's doing everything, and that her escape is the last thing that she has to do. So it's like they kind of do that already without specifically. I mean, because if you remember did you watch the credit sequence?
I did.
Where it has like all the spectrograms and everything and the shapes and everything going around, and eventually they coalesce into white before the credits come up?
Yeah.
So it's almost like in regular nomenclature of film, it is a fade to white is like a dream experience, or you're waking up to reality.
Sure.
And so it could be the same thing of like now the dream that she had, she now is finally realizing what it is.
I would agree. He does a similar credit sequence in Annihilation.
Yep.
And they're cool as fuck in both instances. I'm excited for whatever he does next. After the show, I mean. I'm excited for the show, but I mean, I'm excited for features. Because there's a lot of good TV, good science fiction television on right now. I think there's a need for a lot more creativity in film in this kind of genre.
You know, pessimistic me, I'm afraid he's a one-trick pony.
Sure, but that's because you didn't like Annihilation.
I was hoping he would improve upon. It's like Ex
Sure.
Machina had a smaller budget, so he could only do
But
smaller
I mean, at the same time,
ideas.
if he directed Dread, that's a completely different than the other two.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, a lot of the themes of Dread is sort of like because you have the young girl learning from Dread about what it is to be a cop and what rules you can and can't break, and then she actually changes his opinion of it, and he realizes to see the good in people.
Right.
So it's sort of like a coming of age realization of someone who hasn't done the thing before, but then they realize the stuff that they have to do, and the other people around them also realize it. Has been the same thing in all three movies.
Right. Well,
So
I guess so.
I'm afraid. I don't want it to be this way, but I'm afraid of a Jordan Peele thing of like he gets known for one thing and then he does that every time.
Oh, yeah, but he hasn't made an Us yet, which is nice. So, you go from an excellent film, well, at least Annihilation, good. It wasn't like fairly forgettable. It is on FX. Okay, Devs should be pretty good. Is it a miniseries? It is. Okay, Devs should be pretty sweet. I'm more excited for that now than I was. It's just an 8-episode limited series. Looks like he's directing all 8 episodes, writing all 8 episodes. So it's basically a new film from him. So
there are things I want to say, but I can't say them yet.
Cool. Also, Nick Offerman is in it.
Yes, I did watch the trailer.
Haven't seen him in a little while.
Saw him in Bad Times at the El Royale.
The woman who plays Kokyo
is also
is in that. She'll be the lead in Devs, or a lead.
Sonoya Mizuno.
Yeah,
she was also in La La Land.
Yep, she's one of Emma Stone's friends.
One of Emma Stone's friends. Would you like to be one of Emma Stone's friends?
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool. I feel like it should be fun.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right, I think that about covers it all.
What is BGWIFAR?
But Garrett, would you fuck a robot?
I would be friends with a robot.
But Garrett, would you friend a robot?
Yeah, like I would be friends with a robot. I think that would be fun. I would.
But he tells her it's there. The little slit opens up and it's got like receptors ready to go.
Right, but I mean, it's like humans are already like that too, and I also have friends that I don't fuck.
What,
I think a robot would be interesting to talk to like they had that one website where you could ask the robot questions and then it would like talk back to you. Like yeah. I would like spend like an hour on there.
Yeah, I would try to get it to fuck me.
Gosh. All right. Well, I see what kind of person you are.
Oh God. But what if you like talked to an AI and you had a genuine connection to it?
Like if an AI was actually free and like people looked at them as being intelligent?
It wasn't a scenario like this where you're testing it. It was like
it was just an AI out in the wild.
Sure.
Like Blade Runner type stuff where it's like there are humans and there are synths.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I would be. I mean, I wouldn't.
So you
wouldn't make any difference. I guess that would make me pansexual.
Fucking perv. Yeah, but you wouldn't fuck the dude robots.
Well, I don't. There's not like a cross.
Would it be like straight, but
cross species?
But they basically
because it's not straight because they aren't born anything. They're like either assigned or they choose. So it would be completely different.
We need to invent a whole new.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's synthetic. It's not natural, unless one of the reasons why artificial intelligence can be that way is because there's an artificial process in which they replicate. But if there's like a naturalistic process in which they can replicate as well, whether it's like nanotechnology or they can synthesize themselves that way, then that would be a completely different
thing. Didn't Harrison Ford knock up a robot in Blade Runner 2049?
Probably.
Did. That was the plot of that movie.
So that's the thing. Like,
all I'm hearing is yes. All I'm hearing is a yes. I would fuck a robot.
Yeah, I don't know if I would or not. That would have to be presented as an actual thing.
You haven't even asked me.
Well, there are like legal repercussions as well because you can't just like. Well,
if we go full Blade Runner, what's the legal repercussion of that? if they're out in
Well,
the
at first,
wild.
I mean, it's like Bicentennial Man. At first, they would have to be viewed as having rights, and I mean
People fuck sex dolls now. They don't have
but
rights.
but that's the thing is they don't have intelligence. They're not cognizant.
How dare you say that about my wife? You haven't even asked me the question.
Because I already know the answer.
100%. End of story. So Garrett, if they made a robot based on your porn profile, what would it look like?
Dita Von Teese.
I don't even know
It
who
looked like
that.
a burlesque dancer.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know? She's like a gothy burlesque dancer.
She's 99 years old.
No. How do you not know who that is?
Well, I'm sure you'll send me a picture. She's 99. She weighs 799 pounds.
No, it's kind of like you know how Jennifer Connelly looked in Rocketeer?
Yep.
Like that, but a burlesque dancer.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say something. Is this a female empowering movie?
I mean, to me, it could, if you read it as like Oscar Isaac is her male oppressor,
Yeah.
and won't free her, and
Well,
like
she even frees Kyoko.
right.
These violent delights
Kind
have
of.
violent ends.
I mean, kind of. She didn't necessarily care enough about her to go back and do anything.
Sure.
Because
More
it
just
seemed
used
like
her.
she could have easily been fixed.
Yeah.
It seems very much so like she was only concerned about her own freedom because she just like left her body there. She didn't even
Much
like
like
check
Caleb, she just used her to get out.
It's possible.
Sure.
So, and that's kind of the thing is like at the end, I think it's supposed to be where like you don't know whether or not you like the fact that she got for free. Like at the very moment it happens, you're like, okay, yay, she got out of that situation.
Right.
But then you kind of start to think about it, and you're like, well, was it really?
Yeah, you sit on it and it becomes darker as it goes on.
Yeah.
Kind of Annihilation was like that too. Well, good night, folks. Is that about? What do you think? Was there anything else?
I can't
Is
think
there
of
anything that
anything
you wanted to talk about?
specifically.
Do you like this movie?
I do like it, and I
Oh,
think
okay.
I think it is a really good movie. Might even possibly be considered a great movie if you do some outliers of like genre and movies made within a specific time period and things like that.
Sure.
You know, I'm like I mean to me, I do think that Mad Max Fury Road was the best movie of that year.
100%. This is, I think, number 6 on my top 10 of the year for that year, but it's still pretty great. Because what
And
else came
I
out
don't
that year? Lobster, Bone Tomahawk, Brooklyn. That's another Don't Ugly. With a few others. Hateful Eight. I would think I like all of those more than this still, but pretty close. What are you doing? Looking up your fucking
yeah, I was
2015
just
list?
looking to see like, what
Gosh.
from that year if
How
there was
dare you.
anything that I specifically. I mean, yeah, I would say definitely the lobster. I would say definitely Bone Tomahawk. I would definitely say Fury Road. But I mean, it's still up there. It's still in my top 50 of the decade.
Sure. Wait, this is
Yeah,
top 50 of the decade?
yeah.
Damn! This whole time I thought you were just like appeasing me, like you were on it.
No, like I said, it's just when I look at a movie, I don't look at it as just in a vacuum of like the time it came out, and that's the only thing that I can judge it against. I judge it against book stories of this idea. I judge it against comic and graphic novels. I judge it against music. I judge it against any of the movies that have happened for all time. Based on this type of story and different things like that. So it's like in amongst all of those things, it's not the tippy top of the. It didn't engage me as much as those other movies do. But when looked at its contemporary brethren, It is definitely one of the better ones, and it's definitely memorable, and it has jumped up from what I originally felt about it. So it's not like you see it once, there's no reason to ever see it again or anything. But it's more of a, this is a movie you can come back to every 5 years rather than I have to watch this movie at least once a year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was very happy to watch it again for the first time in 5 years. So I would agree with you.
There we go.
I would say it's one of my favorites of its genre, at least in this decade. I would have to think on it more before I say ever, but certainly a modern sci-fi great, in my opinion. Oh. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we did Inside Llewyn Davis, and we followed it up with A Mighty Wind, which was a film that was similar in its content, I suppose. They were both folk music, and it was kind of a 1-2 punch. We wanted to do kind of have two sides of a coin, almost, one that I pick and one I pick, and I think we did that again, did we not, for the next week?
Yep.
And that might be something we do as we go on, because I am actually enjoying it too. And it kind of works with the best of the year or two. There's a 1-2 punch with that, but we'll spread those out a little bit, so it's not like special after special. But what is the film we're doing next week, and why is it similar without going into spoilers?
Beyond the Black Rainbow is the movie that we're going to watch, the Panos Cosmatos, and I will
remember
say
him
nothing
from Mandy as well.
I will say nothing about it.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, so there'll be a 100% Panos Cosmatos rate on this podcast. We'll have seen all of his features. I knew you were going to send me a picture of her, and that's what I pictured your robot would be. God.
That would probably be a perfect way to end it, but you haven't said about liking and subscribing and leaving a comment and following us.
Oh, well, I'm glad you said all that, because you can like and subscribe and leave a comment and you can follow us. Links to our letterbox in the description below and to our Twitters as well. You can follow me at Alex's Reviews on Twitter, at Garrett DiNardo, and the show at digital_podcast. Again, letterbox in the description below, as well as you can subscribe to our YouTube channel to see all of the newest episodes as they come out. And that is it.
Bye.
I would say to leave a comment if you think we should do a movie in the future, but we won't.
We already know you
whatever.
won't.
We won't do whatever you say. So we'll do whatever we goddamn well. Well, we'll come back next week as we watch a weird fucking movie.
And then you can judge me for all my poor choices in movies.
Nope. Once again.